U.S. President Donald Trump is set to sit down for talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing today. Eyes are now on what the leaders of the world's two largest economies will discuss regarding trade, Iran, and Taiwan issues. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he secretly visited the UAE and met its president since the outbreak of the Iran war, saying it led to a historic breakthrough. But the UAE denied this, saying claims about the visit were entirely unfounded. With less than a month left until the June 3rd local elections, official candidate registration began today. Over the next 2 days, contenders will now formally join the race through the registration process and begin official campaigning, such as taking part in street rallies and televised debates on May 21st. Hello and thanks for joining us on Arirang News. We begin today in Beijing. U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping met in Beijing as the two countries look to steady strained relations. The leaders of the world's two largest economies are expected to tackle a range of issues, from trade disputes to broader security concerns. Our Kim Junong starts us off.
U.S. President Donald Trump met Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing on Thursday for high-stakes summit talks. Xi personally welcomed Trump outside Beijing's Great Hall of the People, greeting him with a handshake before leaving him into the venue. The two-day trip marks Trump's first visit to China since 2017 and his first in-person meeting with Xi since their summit in Busan last year. Official events began Thursday with a welcome ceremony, after which the two leaders moved straight into summit talks. They will later tour the Temple of Heaven together before attending a state banquet in the evening. On Friday, Trump and Xi are scheduled to meet for a photo session, followed by tea and a lunch meeting. Trade is expected to rank high on the agenda. Ahead of the visit, Trump said in a social media post that he would urge Xi to open up China as Washington pushes for a more favorable business environment for U.S. firms operating in China. Joining Trump on the trip are 17 top U.S. executives, including Tesla's Elon Musk and NVIDIA's Jensen Huang, with U.S. companies hoping to resolve long-standing business and regulatory issues with Beijing. He also made clear that trade talks remain his top priority over the Iran situation, saying he does not need Xi's help in dealing with Iran.
I don't think we need any help with Iran, to be honest with you. We have a lot of things to discuss. I wouldn't say Iran is one of them, to be honest with you, because we have Iran very much under control.
The leaders are expected to discuss trade tensions and business ties, as well as major geopolitical issues, including the war in Iran and Washington's relationship with Taiwan. Kim Junong, Arirang News.
Over in the Middle East, conflicting claims emerged between Israel and the United Arab Emirates after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he secretly visited the Gulf nation during the recent war with Iran, only for the UAE to publicly deny the meeting ever took place. Meanwhile, tensions in the Gulf are also escalated as Iran accused Kuwait of unlawfully detaining 4 Iranian nationals, allegedly linked to the IRGC. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he secretly visited the United Arab Emirates during the recent war with Iran and held talks with UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. According to Netanyahu's office, the meeting resulted in what it described as a historic breakthrough between the two countries. However, the UAE quickly denied the claim, calling reports of Netanyahu's visit entirely unfounded. In a statement, the UAE Foreign Ministry said relations with Israel are conducted openly under the framework of the Abraham Accords and are not based on unofficial or non-transparent arrangements. The ministry also denied reports that any Israeli military delegation had entered the country. The Abraham Accords were signed during U.S. President Donald Trump's first term and established normalized relations between Israel and several Arab states, including the UAE. Meanwhile, Iran is accusing Kuwait of unlawfully attacking an Iranian boat and detaining 4 Iranian nationals near a Gulf island reportedly used by U.S. forces. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi called the incident an illegal act and demanded the immediate release of the detainees. Tehran claims the confrontation took place near an island used by American forces to launch strikes against Iran. Kuwait's Interior Ministry said Tuesday that security forces arrested 4 individuals linked to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as they attempted to enter the country by sea. Kuwaiti authorities did not release further details on the operation or specify what charges the suspects may face. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
South Korea dispatched a technical analysis team to Dubai to conduct a scientific assessment of the attack on the HMM Namu vessel and look into the cause. The Defense Ministry on Thursday said it would actively support the government's Joint Response Task Force activities and cooperate with relevant countries in the uncovering of facts. According to a spokesperson, the team, which is made up of around 10 members, including tech experts from the Agency for Defense Development, departed for the Middle East on Wednesday. The focus will reportedly be forensic examination, including damage analysis of the hull, while recovered debris from the projectile that struck the vessel will be investigated by another team in Korea. South Korea and the United States held high-level defense talks in Washington this week amid ongoing discussions over the transfer of wartime operational control. The Korea-U.S. Integrated Defense Dialogue, which took place from Tuesday to Wednesday, brought together senior defense and foreign affairs officials from both countries to review alliance cooperation and discuss ways to strengthen their combined defense posture. Both sides agreed to continue implementing agreements reached at last year's summit and security consultative meeting while pledging closer coordination on security goals across the Korean Peninsula and the Indo-Pacific. Although OPCON transfer was expected to be a key topic, the official statement did not provide details on any progress. The combat-ready KF-21, Korea's homegrown fighter jet, has started mass production in Sacheon and is soon to be delivered to Korea's Air Force. Our defense correspondent Kim Bo-kyung had a peek inside the mass production site.
The KF-21, a South Korean-made 4.5 generation supersonic fighter. At this site in Sacheon, Gyeongsang-namdo province, around 20 KF-21 fighter jets are currently being assembled. The KF-21 Borame was first envisioned by then-President Kim Dae-jung in 2001, who dreamed of developing an advanced domestically built fighter jet. The program officially entered the development phase in December 2015 and then underwent 5 years of ground testing from 2021 until February this year. During the testing, the jet completed more than 1,600 test flights without a single accident and passed roughly 13,000 test conditions.
This homegrown KF-21 fighter jet is being prepared for its flight test. After more than 10 years in development, South Korea plans to deliver the first mass-produced aircraft to the Air Force in September.
The CEO of Korea Aerospace Industries underlined how despite initial doubts from the likes of Lockheed Martin, the country was able to make the development a success. Now he dreams of exporting hopefully up to 1,000 jets, with already around 200 potential export orders. As Korea becomes the 8th country to produce its own supersonic jet fighters, the KF-21 is also expected to greatly boost the K-defense industry as a whole.
The introduction of South Korea's independently developed KF-21 will go beyond replacing aging fighters like F-4 and F-5. It will open up a new era of self-reliant defense and be a starting point of a stronger military defense industry ecosystem.
With the Air Force Chief of Staff having promised to bring forward the F-5's retirement from 2030 to 2027, KF-21 is soon to become one of the Air Force's core assets. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News, Sacheon.
Official candidate registration for the June 3rd local election began today. The ruling Democratic Party and main opposition People Power Party are wrapping up their candidate lineup as a fierce political battle is expected in the next few weeks. Our political correspondent An Sung-jin covers the process and the latest candidate lineup.
With less than 3 weeks left, local elections are entering a decisive phase here in Korea as candidates move from preliminary campaigning to officially registering to run for office. Contenders now formally join the race through the official registration process from May 14th and 15th, leaving around 20 days till the vote. Now let's take a closer look at some of the finalized candidate lineups for the 16 metropolitan mayoral and gubernatorial races. Starting with Seoul, one of the country's key battlegrounds, the capital has taken shape as a two-way contest between the DP's candidate Chung Won-ho and the incumbent mayor Oh Se-hoon of the PPP. Now, if you look over here in the side in Gyeonggi-do province, Korea's most populous province with roughly 13 million residents, the gubernatorial race is set to make history with the DP's Choo Mi-ae and the PPP's Yang Hyang-ja marking the first female head-to-head race for a metropolitan governor position. Now, a tendency we see in the candidate lineup for this election is that the main opposition PPP has named most of its incumbent figures. If we see over here, all four PPP candidates in the Gangwon-do and Chungcheong-do regions, which normally act as a casting vote area, are either current mayors or governors. Similarly, the traditional conservative Gyeongsang-do region, another major battleground, has 4 out of 5 of its candidates as current heads, as the PPP seeks to defend its regional base and strongholds through high-profile figures, and as the ruling party attempts to make inroads. With these candidates and their strong ambitions, how have the ruling and opposition parties been unveiling their competing election strategies? The ruling Democratic Party is framing its main goal around regional economic development by establishing mega special districts focused on advanced industries such as robotics and biotechnology, offering companies tax incentives. The DP is also promoting a series of welfare-focused pledges, including climate insurance programs, help centers for the elderly, and other community-oriented proposals. The main opposition People Power Party is centering its campaign on housing and solving cost of living issues, such as a housing program that would expand long-term rental contracts and transportation subsidies. It also unveiled policies targeting investment for scientific research and small businesses. Official campaigning will begin on May 21st, with candidates taking part in street rallies and televised debates. Early voting is scheduled for May 29th and 30th, while the main election will take place on June 3rd. As the campaign season is now fully underway, attention is turning to which party can deliver the most persuasive policies and messages in the upcoming local election battle. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
President Lee Jae-myung has went out to a shipyard to seek ways to raise the country's shipbuilding competitiveness. Noting the sector as a promising business, he called for a system where outcomes can be equally shared. Our Yoon Jung-min reports.
Hitting the road on Wednesday to the country's southeastern city of Ulsan, President Lee Jae-myung toured a shipyard where LNG carriers are built. Meeting with shipbuilders, he noted growing recognition of South Korea's shipbuilding industry on the global stage.
국제적인 관심도가 높아지다가 소위 마스가라고 미국의 대규모 투자 사업의 핵심 아이템으로 조선 산업이 또 선정돼 있기도 합니다. 앞으로 이 부분은 매우 여러 가지 많은 가능성과 잠재력을 가지고 있는데.
He was looking for what the government can do to help, noting a great discrepancy during times of a boom and recession, which also affects the livelihoods of workers in the field. The president called for creating a fair compensation system.
그 성장의 과실들이 골고루 좀 나눠지고 또 회사 내에서도 사용자와 노동자가 함께 그 과실을 누릴 수 있는 그런 시스템을 만드는 것도 중요한 일일 것 같습니다.
High on the agenda was raising its competitiveness amid a fierce global race.
If China excels in the LNG carrier sector, it's hard for us to catch up. We own the building technology, but what's key is demonstration, especially for large vessels.
Some have called for more support in financing.
Smaller shipbuilders like us have no choice but to give up major contracts because we couldn't get a refund guarantee.
Present were major and smaller shipbuilders alike, representatives of workers in the field, and financial institutions. After the session, President Lee toured an exhibition booth showcasing robots and cutting-edge technologies applied in the shipbuilding sector. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
Interest in generative AI services is growing among older adults. Marking May, a family month, companies and institutions are expanding AI education programs designed for middle-aged and senior citizens. Our Tae-Yun-Go reports.
Senior citizen participants, laptops open, practice entering prompts into generative AI screens. They learn the functions firsthand by giving voice commands. To mark Parents' Day, OpenAI and the education company Fast Campus launched a specialized AI training program for the elderly.
My daughter sent me a photo of this event. I decided to attend because I've always found AI technology quite challenging.
Participants received hands-on experience with experts, learning how to use ChatGPT, search for information, and prepare for second careers.
Some participants want to start new businesses, while others want to help their neighbors who struggle with technology. We will show them how to leverage AI for those.
As demand grows, government support is also increasing. The Ministry of Science and ICT has expanded its AI digital learning centers from 37 to 69 locations this year. Furthermore, local governments will now send the instructors directly to senior centers and community halls to provide on-site education. 차윤경, Arirang News.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. The U.S. Senate has confirmed Kevin Warsh as the next Federal Reserve Chair. The most partisan Fed confirmation vote in American history saw a 54-45 split on Wednesday as inflation accelerates to its fastest pace in 3 years, and rate hikes are now openly on the table. Warsh takes over from Jerome Powell, whose term ends on Friday. Trump, currently in China, has signaled he will sign the paperwork immediately. The president picked Warsh, expecting him to cut rates, but producer prices jumped 6% in April, the fastest pace since 2022, making cuts increasingly difficult to justify. Markets now expect no rate cuts this year and a possible hike next year. OPEC on Wednesday cut its forecast for global oil demand growth in 2026, citing the Iran war's effective closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which has blocked millions of barrels of Middle East output and sent fuel prices surging worldwide. The group cut its second quarter demand forecast by a further 500,000 barrels per day and now expects full-year demand to grow by 1.17 million barrels per day, down from a previous forecast of 1.38 million barrels a day. OPEC Plus output fell by 1.74 million barrels per day in April alone due to the Hormuz closure. The group did raise its 2027 demand growth forecast by 200,000 barrels per day to 1.54 million, signaling it expects a rebound once the conflict is resolved. Meta on Wednesday launched a fully private AI chat feature on WhatsApp called Incognito Chat. Conversations are processed in a secure environment that even Meta itself cannot access, and messages disappear by default. The company says unlike other incognito-style modes that still allow platforms to see incoming and outgoing messages, this feature is genuinely invisible. It is designed for sensitive questions on topics like health, finances, or personal matters. Cybersecurity experts warn about serious accountability concerns, as if something goes wrong, there would be no chat history to investigate. The feature is being rolled out gradually on WhatsApp and the Meta AI app in the coming months. A drug counselor who supplied the ketamine that killed actor Matthew Perry has been sentenced to 2 years in federal prison. Eric Fleming was sentenced on Wednesday in Los Angeles after pleading guilty to distributing the drug that caused the Friends star's death in October 2023. He sold Perry 51 vials of liquid ketamine, knowing the actor had a history of addiction. In court, Fleming said he was, quote, haunted by his actions and mortified he played any role in Perry's death. A woman known as the Ketamine Queen was sentenced last month to 15 years for her role in the same case. Chu Ji-han, Arirang News.
Summer-like heat is building across the western parts of Korea today. Seoul is forecast to see a high of 31 degrees Celsius this afternoon, marking the hottest day of the year so far. Gwangju will make it to 29 degrees with some passing showers, but East Coast regions will have cooler highs due to easterly winds. And about that passing rain, the Jeollado provinces and Gyeongsang-Namdo province could see 5 to 20 millimeters of showers, along with thunderstorms later this afternoon. Meanwhile, the rest of the country will be under plenty of sunshine with very strong UV rays this afternoon. UV rays will be very high, so have your summer gear ready. And with the heat and sunshine, it's going to feel more like late July. A spell of summer-like heat will continue over Korea for the rest of the week and into early next week before rain arrives by midweek, helping temperatures return closer to normal.
That's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.